Happy Friday, everybody. So I'm going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to kind of hop on. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get my smudge going. So I put a message up on Facebook earlier today to let people know that I was going to be coming on tonight and doing this recording. So last month I read from one of my all-time favorite books ever, which is The 13 Original Clan Mothers by Jamie Sams. Hi. As you can see, this book is deeply loved and has been used quite a bit. Welcome, Devin. Hey, Vanessa. Hi, Dave. So anyways, last month I read from this book for the month of April. This is a book that does basically storytelling from the divine feminine perspective from indigenous wisdoms. So it tells a story of 13 different women who basically embody the energies of each particular month of the year. So this book has been really inspirational for me. It has been a foundational book that I have worked with for many years. I was introduced to this book by White Star Woman. You probably have heard me talk about her because it was also through my work with her that I was introduced to working with the drum, which many of you know has become one of my foundational tools that I work with. So anyways, this is just an incredible, it's an incredible book because it brings into our awareness through storytelling different teachings about the energies that are held in each one of the months. So normally you would think, okay, so there's only 12, right? But it's believed in the tradition that she comes from, that the 13th is the moment between the changing of the year. So from like December 31st to January 1st, that moment that it shifts over is actually the 13th clan mother. That's the 13th energy. And so it takes us through all the cycles and seasons throughout the whole year. Anyways, I have been called to continue to read from this book, so that's why I'm here tonight. I'm so excited that everyone's here. At the end of this, I'm going to do a drumming, so you'll have an opportunity if you feel called to do a meditation or to dream journey and explore for yourself any of the themes or teachers or teachings from this particular book that I'm going to read tonight. You'll have time to do that. So this is also, it's May 1st, it's Beltane, so we're at the height of abundance and fertility in nature right now. And anyways, I really feel that it's important to honor and acknowledge these moments when we, and to make time for them. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my smudge started. So if you are working with any sacred herbs at home, if you're working with stones at home, so if you're connecting into the energy of the earth through the use of stones or crystals, you can pull those out. If you have a drum, I encourage you to grab your drum. You can drum with me later if you like, totally up to you. So I'm just going to offer some smudge to the book itself, offering gratitude to Jamie Sams for bringing these teachings forward and to her teachers and her grandmothers, so that we might have the opportunity to have these teachings come to us today. I highly recommend this book for anyone that feels called to it. It's really amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna send some smudge to you guys too. All right, Fantastic. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and when I'm done reading, I'll scroll through, and I'll be happy to do my best with answering any questions that come through. So, before we begin, let's go ahead and find a comfortable seat, close the eyes. So I like to encourage people to listen to readings such as this, much like you would listen to someone reading any kind of sacred words, going into a meditative state. So that doesn't mean you have to have your eyes closed, but just for the first few moments, let's go ahead and close the eyes, bring our attention to the breath. Relax the shoulders and feel ourselves grounding into the earth down through the sit bones. And let's invite the energy of the earth up into our story time today, the magic and energy of nature, of the creation that's unfolding before us in each and every moment in nature. So we'll call in and on all of our guides and ancestors. We'll offer up gratitude and call in the energy of Jamie Sams, who wrote this book, and call in the energy of Listening Woman, the chapter that I'm going to be reading tonight. We'll call in and on the energy of all 7 of the directions: east, south, west, north, above, below, and within. And we'll call on all the energy of the elements: earth, air, water, fire, and ether. Begin to allow your awareness to just rest within the cave of your heart, and allow the words that come to just wash over you. So Jamie Sams always starts these chapters with a poem. So this is Listening Woman. Echoes of the ancestors ride the winds of change, voices of the creatures calling out my name, singing spirits on the breeze, the crashing of waves to shore, the pounding of Earth Mother's heart. Teach me what to listen for. In stillness, before the dusk and dawn, hidden messages are set free like the chants of my people. Their rhythms speak to me. My ears can hear this music and my heart can understand. Clan Mother of Tioe, I am yours to command. I listen for your whispers on a course you will chart, searching for the still voice that lives within my heart. Clan Mother of the 5th moon cycle. Listening Woman is the clan mother of Tioe, the stillness, whose moon cycle falls in the month of May. The color connected to her moon is black and represents seeking an answer. Her cycle of truth is hearing the truth. This clan mother teaches us how to enter the silence and how to listen to the ever-present messages of nature, our hearts, the spirit world, the viewpoints of other humans, the creature teachers, and great mystery. In the Seneca tradition, entering the stillness is called Tioe, which is translated to stillness. Once a person can access the stillness and can hear the small, still voice within, that person has the potential to realize personal wholeness because they have accessed the voice of inner truth. Listening Woman teaches us to listen to all of the viewpoints represented in our world in order to learn the harmony that can be found through allowing each life form to have its own sacred point of view. This clan mother teaches us that we will never learn or expand if we don't listen to what is being said. She shows us the crooked trail of having to talk all the time. When we're talking, we're not listening. When we ignore or cut off the voice of another person who is telling us something we don't want to hear, we may be stopping our own growth. Many wounded people in our world do not want to hear the truth because they feel that it hurts them. The willingness to listen to the truth about oneself when it is delivered with loving compassion is a great talent and can heal old wounds. Listening woman has the ability to hear more than the word of her human children, even when they're afraid to speak the truth of how they feel. This clan mother listens to others with her heart, as well as with her ears. She can hear the unspoken heart's desires of her human children, as well as their unspoken fears. She can hear the nonverbal languages of the animals, plants, and stones, as well as the voices of the ancestors coming from the spirit world. Listening woman's talents are derived from her ability to be totally still, to take in the impressions she can gather, and then to formulate a concept of the whole. Listening woman teaches us how to discern whether people are speaking the truth by listening to the inflections and feelings contained in their words. She shows us that many humans do not know how to express their personal truths because they deny their true feelings. Some humans may lie to cover their fear of retribution or punishment. Some people tell lies to feel included or important. But all people who speak untruths are detectable if we develop the art of listening. Showing compassion for those who feel they must lie is a sign of spiritual maturity. The person who lies is wounded. The untruthful people of our world are only lying to themselves because they have not yet heard the voice of their spiritual essences. To live in total truth is to know the light of the eternal flame of love. Listening woman hears every thought, senses every feeling, and receives every impression in Tioe, the stillness. She uses her gift of prophecy based on the information she collects. The clan mother of Tioe can foretell the probable future, showing us our potential to follow the beauty way or the crooked trail. She sends us warnings when we are off balance and encouragement when we are walking with grace. The omens, portents, signs, and guideposts of life come to us because listening woman has heard our hearts, our spoken intent, our unspoken desires, or our needs. The messengers she sends our way are the allies of nature, the ancestor spirits, the creature teachers, and or the voices of our orendas, or spiritual essence. Entering the stillness. Listening woman remembered the first human experience she went through when she came from the spirit world to walk the earth. Many, many moons had passed since then, and yet the sweetness of that first moment was alive in her memory, giving her comfort amidst the all-consuming tasks she faced being an advisor and counselor to her human children. Her senses drank in the smells and sensations of the long-ago time, allowing her to float back into the precious memory of her first awakening. Listening woman came into her human form in a giant cavern where the blackness was complete. Even with her eyes open, she was surrounded by total darkness and vast nothingness. She did not know that her human eyes could encompass the beauty of the natural world. She was enveloped in the scent of damp earth, a faint acrid smell of growing rock formations, and the clean, sweet perfume of her own body. In the darkness, she felt her human flesh for the first time, revealing in the sensations of smooth skin, well-formed muscles. She touched her head and was surprised at how her hair softly covered her shoulders, falling below her hips like a mantle to protect her from the chill of the cavern. With each movement of her body, she felt other textures. Tiny grains of pebble-like sand covered the surface beneath her, gently rubbing her legs. She heard moisture dripping from the ceiling above, giving delight as a drop or two hit her skin, sending new sensations through her body. The soft roundedness of her belly and breasts was very different from the strong muscular legs that curled beneath her torso while she sat on the cavern's floor. Her fingertips traced the line of her lips, and she noticed that they were full and soft, the texture of the skin being different from the chin beneath or the cheekbones above. As she felt the curve of her eyes, she gave a start when she realized that the eyelids were coverings used to protect the sensitive round orbs beneath them. One eye watered, cleansing itself from her unknowing touch, sending a tear coursing down her cheek. She noted the unfamiliar sensation of discomfort and wetness as a part of her discovery. She made a mental note that some parts of this human form were very sensitive and would need to be handled with care. As Listening Woman continued her discovery by touching her neck, she felt the strong, lean curve of a graceful pedestal that held her head above her body, noticing that there were solid structural protrusions just beneath the skin in the back. The skeletal forms of her spine that gave her flesh a frame felt angular in comparison to the firm smoothness of the muscles that covered them. Her fingertips moved up the side of her neck, and she felt the shell-like appendages of her ears. In the deep darkness of the cavern, the guardian of inner knowing could hear the slightest movement of her hands, the gentle rasp of her breath, the dripping of water droplets, and the rustle of her legs against the cave's floor when she shifted her body position. She drank in every sound as she moved and touched her feet, toes, ankles, shins, marveling in the magnificence of the human form she had inherited. As Listening Woman stretched her body and found the ways in which she could position her form, she discovered gurgles coming from the organs within her torso. A slight ache in the middle of her belly resounded with a rumble that echoed through the cavern. She was concerned with the new development and silently sent her thoughts to Earth Mother. Mother, I do not understand this sound and the ache in my middle. I feel like something is missing, and yet I know that the great mystery created these beautiful human forms in wholeness. What do I need to learn? The Earth Mother's voice filled the mind and heart of Listening Woman as she answered her daughter. These sounds are part of the human body, child. Sometimes these gurgling noises mean that the body is digesting the fuel that is needed to give the body strength. At other times, the rumbles mean that the body needs sustenance to maintain its stamina. You're feeling the ache because there is a hunger for food your body needs. Listening Woman sat in the stillness, feeling the ache deep in her belly, and listened to the accompanying sounds to become familiar with the language of her body's needs. She asked the Earth Mother how she could feed the form that housed her spirit. The Earth Mother spoke to her daughter, explaining that a basket of food had been placed in the cavern very close to the clan mother, and that by using her sense of touch, Listening Woman would find it and feed herself. The keeper of introspection began to grope the space around herself in a circular motion, encountering the basket of food a short distance away. She felt the textures of each of the food substances while the Earth Mother told her how to taste, chew, and swallow. The sounds of eating were very different depending upon the choice of foods she made. Some sounds were softer, allowing her to hear the swirl of her tongue over the juicy flesh of a ripe peach. When she bit into a carrot, the loud crunch of her teeth against the firmness of the vegetable echoed in her ears and filled the emptiness of the cavern with waves of startling sounds. Listening Woman was amazed by the volume of the noises and paused, afraid to continue or swallow. The gentle laughter of the Earth Mother filled the clan mother's sense of inner knowing, relieving her trepidation. The Earth Mother's joyous assurance that all was as it should be gave the clan mother a desire to crunch louder. The keeper of discernment found the feelings inside of herself that told her it was right to continue. So she crunched down on the bite of carrot and made the loud echo again and again, filling the cavern with the sounds of enjoyment that came from relishing the sweet taste of the carrot. Listening Woman noticed that her body was no longer groaning and that the feelings of something being missing was gone. A new feeling of fulfillment had replaced the emptiness, and she noticed the contentment and sense of well-being that flooded her body. She kept the basket near her in case the rumbles started again, because she had no idea how often her body would need food. She returned her attention to the sounds and sensations found in the obsidian blackness of the cavern. The stillness was interrupted by a reverberating sound of liquid dripping from the ceiling of the cavern and hitting a large pool of water behind her. The Earth Mother urged her to find her sense of direction by noting where the sounds came from and to follow the splashes until she reached their origin. The Clan Mother crawled towards the drip and splashed noises until she felt the same kind of wetness she had discovered when the tear had rolled down her cheek. The Earth Mother explained that the liquid was water and did not taste salty like the tear from Listening Woman's eye. The sweet water was used to quench thirst, a dryness, and was essential to her human body. Listening Woman learned how to cup her hands and take the water to her lips and drink. The accompanying sounds were not unlike the gurgles she had heard coming from hunger. The Clan Mother discovered that she could make different noises when she lapped the water. The echoes of each sound filled the pregnant void with a myriad of resounding waves of reverberation, giving Listening Woman a multitude of new noises to experience. At one point in her process of reaching into the water, the Clan Mother encountered a small stone. She pulled the stone person from the pool and felt the solid form, noticing that it was much harder than the bones of her body and larger than the pebbles that covered the floor of the cavern. When the stone person spoke to her in the same way that the Earth Mother had spoken to her inner knowing, Listening Woman was so startled that she dropped the stone person into the pool of water with a resounding splash. The stone person continued to speak to her, explaining that he was a friend. Groping in front of her to retrieve the rock, Listening Woman found herself making all sorts of strange noises. Her breath started to come in harder gusts, and she could hear the pounding of her heart as she frantically felt below the water's surface for the friend she had dropped in her moment of surprise. The stone person guided her hands to the resting place and then began to explain how he could aid her in further discovery of her gifts, talents, and abilities. I am a rock person who holds the libraries of all that has passed on the Earth Mother. Together we can approach the outside world, learning what you need to experience in order to fulfill your mission. You have already begun that journey by learning the language of your body's needs, how to hear the Earth Mother's voice, and how to listen to my words. Here in the darkness, you are beginning to develop the skills of understanding that make up the many levels of sound without sight, taste, and touch without visual contact, and feelings without outside confusing influences. These first encounters with your abilities of perception will allow you to hear the truth in every situation you encounter in physical life. The darkness of the void of the unknown will be comforting to you, and the answers you seek will come through your ability to hear them. Listening Woman's breath came in soft, even rhythms as she held her new friend to her heart. The keeper of discernment felt a kinship and a trust between herself and the stone person, who called himself Old Man. In his ancient form, Listening Woman found the comfort of a kindred spirit. Because her own spiritual essence wasn't as old as the Earth Mother and Grandmother Moon, who were created in the spirit world by great mystery, Old Man understood the Clan Mother's desire to find out all that she could about her humanness and the things she needed to master on her path to wholeness. The friendship had been the beginning of her journey. The long ago memory and how much she had grown with Old Man's assistance created a chain of pictures and sensations that flooded Listening Woman's mind and senses. She recalled her first experience with light and the gentle steps that Old Man had insisted that she take when they emerged from the cavern. Old Man had introduced her to Aunt, who had taught her the medicine of patience and had spoken of the wisdom of taking the time needed for her eyes to adjust to the light that filtered into the cavern. The brightness of the outside world grew as the Clan Mother and Old Man spent one sun and sleep closer to the entrance of the cave, allowing Listening Woman to keep her hearing abilities intact while she blended her talent of listening with the new experience of sight. Her excitement at seeing new colors and forms nearly got the best of her in those first sighted moments. The urge to rush into discovery had to be curtailed for her to maintain physical, emotional, and spiritual balance. Now, many moons later, Listening Woman was happy that she had honored the wisdom and harmony that had allowed her to emerge from the cavern into the outside world in a balanced way. Her mind returned to another memory of the progress she had made during the winters she had learned about the other two-legged humans she would share the world with during her journey on the red road of life. In those early times when she encountered other human beings, Listening Woman was able to develop her gifts of inner knowing because humans had not yet developed speech. The human tribe spoke Heelowayan, the language of love. The nonverbal language expressed the heart of any matter a two-legged needed to communicate. In silence, the observer had to watch and note the expressions, movements, and feelings being shared by the one who was communicating. To receive the wholeness of any message, the listener had to focus on the person communicating without interjecting or interrupting. Listening Woman had mastered the art of hearing the language of love and oftentimes heard the thoughts of others through her ability to access their inner knowings as well as her own. The clan mother remembered how she had been able to teach others the same talent of understanding the voice of another's heart and how the human tribe had benefited in those early times. Since then, the Earth Mother had completed many rotations around Grandfather's son, and the children of Earth had grown and changed, some for the better, some for the worse. The progression of human spiritual evolution was a concern to Listening Woman because she had witnessed the truth, and she had witnessed the crookedness that some verbal language had brought forth in those who wanted to hide and misalign truths of their intentions. Greed and desire for control had given birth to forked tongues and double meanings in the spoken word. Her talents had naturally been honed into precision during the course of her encounters with individuals who spoke with the seeming sincerity that masked their hidden agendas. Listening Woman had developed the gift of being a true observer by entering the stillness of her own being and having no preconceptions while she listened to others, observing every movement of their body, every crescendo or cadence of their voices. The clan mother could easily see if the speaker was nervous, hiding something, or merely shy. Over the passing of seasons, Listening Woman earned her role of being the keeper of discernment. Every feeling of warning that issued forth from her navel, the feeling center of the body, sent shockwaves through her sense of well-being and allowed her to discern who to trust and with whom she needed to exercise caution. Many of her lessons had been hard-earned. She had been forced by circumstances to pay attention to actions rather than words. This form of observing took a deeper concentration and focus as the clan mother delved further into listening to her heart's impressions of the speaker in front of her. It had been during one of those particularly difficult situations that Listening Woman had been blessed with hearing the voice of her spiritual essence. The bitter cold of that winter sun had made it almost impossible to relax into Tiaway, the stillness. Listening Woman had nearly decided that the time was not right for her to hear the stories of the two men who had asked for her advice. The winter winds pressed through any tiny opening in the hides that covered the entrance to the cavern of the tribe that she was with, creating unwelcome wafts of cold that sent every muscle into tense knots. The clan mother knew that she risked becoming short-tempered with the men and that she might have a difficult time discerning their shivers from the telltale signs that usually allowed her to perceive hidden meanings or untruths. She knew that in meeting with these two men, she would have to stretch her capacity to hear the truth, listening to their inner thoughts and unspoken intentions. During the time that the three spent together, the clan mother listened with her whole being, sensing the urgency of the situation as well as the impatience of one of the men. The viewpoints of the men differed greatly, making each certain that the other was incapable of understanding. The guardian of introspection took the time she needed before saying anything and told the men that they would meet again during the following sun. After the men left her fire, Listening Woman felt confused by all that she had heard, the gestures of each man and the way the bitter cold had robbed part of her focus. As she sat gazing into the flames of her twig fire, she closed her eyes and felt deep into her own being. A feeling of warmth roused itself from the stillness and poured through her like golden honey, sweet and rich. The clan mother felt herself expanding beyond the limits of her human form and then beyond the walls of the cavern and the tribe called home. In the stillness, she heard a faint whisper, a voice she did not recognize. The orange flames flickered with light and shadow against her closed eyelids as she followed the whisper into the grayness that bordered her senses. The journey took her into the blackness of the void of the unknown. Beyond the boundaries of her perceptions, the voice grew clearer and more animated the closer she traveled to the sound. A light began to emerge in the darkness of the void, leading Listening Woman to a brilliance she had never encountered before. The light was made of multicolored bursts of flame that changed with the cadence of the voice that spoke from the center of the fire. Listening Woman felt a lump rise in her throat and tears sting her eyes as she discovered the voice of her own spiritual essence. She had ventured beyond her human form, yet she could feel every motion and subtle change in her body. She heard the sound of her throat trying to swallow, the crackling of the twig fire, the almost imperceptible sob caused by her joyous tears, and the voice of her spiritual essence. In her state of heightened awareness, the clan mother understood all of the steps of her passage and how each and every lesson had brought her to this moment of personally realizing wholeness. The voice of her spiritual essence was a welcoming voice that signaled that she had come home to the true self. An overwhelming rush of emotions rocked her body with feelings of gratitude, satisfaction, permanence, humility, wonder, nurturance, belonging, achievement, and the desire to know more. She was taken back by the beauty of the eternal flame of love. That held the Arenda's voice dancing in her mind's eye. In a heartbeat, she was aware of the Earth Mother's nurturance of her physical form and the great mysteries, loving protection of her spiritual essence. The two worlds of spirit and of the tangible substance had become one inside her. She heard the harmony of creation issue forth from the center of her being, singing the music found in all spheres of life. Every life form had a melody, intricately harmonizing with all of the others. There was no room for discord in the symphony of sounds that flowed through her perceptions. Her heart, body, mind, and spirit had a new sense of wholeness. Nothing seemed too far or too great to encompass, as her ability to hear every voice in creation grew stronger inside her being. The desire to have any human being share in her experience was interrupted by the voice of her spiritual essence. Self of myself, you're expressing the Creator's desire for unlimited joy. You are blessed with the generosity of spirit that wants all others to find this inner knowing. Until each human being has walked the paths to wholeness that you have walked, they cannot fully understand the ecstasy and bliss that you are experiencing. Every being must be given the opportunities that they need in order to find their individual paths home to the true self. Listen to their hearts and guide them in ways that allow them to know that they may accomplish the tasks of homecoming for themselves. Listening Woman asked the voice of her spiritual essence if there was some way that she could direct her human children, and the voice of her Arenda replied, "Teach them how to listen to the voices of the natural world. Call upon the hawk, who is the messenger that carries those words of wisdom, to assist you in showing the two-leggeds how to listen. Teach them the compassion of ant, whose medicine is patience, and the wisdom of armadillo, whose medicine shows them how to keep the feelings and troubles of others out of their sacred spaces by using boundaries. Show the human beings the listening abilities of Rabbit and how he teaches his medicine of not listening to unrealistic fears. Point out the medicine of Mockingbird, who teaches two-leggeds the gift of recalling and repeating all they have heard. Call upon Ferret to use his medicine of ferreting out the answers by using deduction and reason. Porcupine can assist your children by teaching them medicine of faith and innocence. They will need to have faith in their paths, their abilities, and their connections to great mystery, as well as the kind of innocence and humility that keeps all limitations of skepticism and arrogance from daunting their progress. Deep inside her heart, Listening Woman recorded all that the voice of her spiritual essence had shared with her. The guardian of introspection understood that she had completed her final rite of passage, which reflected her personal realization of wholeness. Her next step on the great medicine wheel of life would be teaching her human children how to hear and interpret the messages they received. The roar of the sea lion resounded in her memory, reminding her that she could call on the abilities of seals and sea lions to teach her human children the medicine of riding the waves of their emotions and feelings in order to discover all facets of themselves. Through trusting their feelings, her human children could learn the many levels of discernment necessary for hearing the truth. Listening Woman had learned many lessons during that sun of bitter cold and fiery feelings of wholeness. Then she had applied the new understanding to the two men who had asked for her counsel. She had taught the two men how to see the harmony of the other's viewpoint by making them stand in the position of the other, pretending to voice the opposite viewpoint until they respected the other's opinion. Those earlier events seemed so long ago. During the generations that followed, Listening Woman had grown and continued to develop her skills, as if they were rare medicine objects. She quietly put away her precious memories, wrapping them up in teaway, using stillness like a medicine bundle to hold the sacred remembrances of her passage. Now it was time for the clan mother to enter Teaway and listen to the words of a young woman who was struggling to understand her dreams and the messages she had received. A grandfather's son rode low in the sky nation. Listening Woman helped the young dreamer to interpret the symbols and spoken wisdom she had gathered from her visions. Listening Woman showed the younger woman how to ask herself leading questions that would enable her to find her own answers. The tools that the clan mother used sparked understanding, always asking the young woman to think, to remember, to feel, and to honor the still inner voice that insisted that the dreamer hear the truth inside her own heart. Listening Woman would listen to the girl and then ask, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "What did that creature seem to be teaching you?" In every instance, when a person seeking counsel felt safe and like she or he was really being heard, the inner knowing would shine forth. Listening Woman found herself becoming a reflector for those seeking assistance, always recognizing that at some point all of her children needed to be reassured. Some were frightened of the stillness, others were afraid of the darkness of the void. Still others were scared of what they might hear because they had been denying the truth inside themselves. Each member of the human tribe was an individual who had to follow the path to wholeness that suited him or her. But all the human tribe would have to discover inner hearing before those paths would reach the wholeness they sought. Hearing the voice of the spiritual essence was the manner in which all humans would eventually realize their potential. Without that ability to listen to their heart's desires and inner truths, they were lost. Listening Woman taught them that the first step on every individual path was learning to listen to their bodies and to each other with respect. Later, they were taught the skills of listening to nature, then how to hear and interpret the unspoken messages of the natural world and the voices of the ancestors that rode on the winds. Further along the path to wholeness, the children of Earth learned how to listen to their own spoken words. comparing what they actually said to the truth found in the Orenda's voice. This step was a weeding out process that struck at the heart of the limitations and illusions found along the red road of human life. As Listening Woman reviewed these skills she had been able to pass along to the children of Earth, the fluttering of her heart caught her attention. She focused on the flutter and found the voice of her Orenda, filled with love. A shudder went through the clan mother's body as the voice spoke. The children of Earth will heal their wounds and find the same joy that you have cradled in your heart, self of myself. There is more inner peace available with each passing season because more members of the human tribe are discovering the way home. The love is returning. As the flow of life increases and the two-leggeds find the eternal flame of love inside of themselves, Helowean, the language of love, will return. They will once again be able to hear the pureness of each other's hearts and understand the harmony of creation that the great mystery has given as a legacy of peace. All life forms will live together as one and will support all others without judgment or expectation. Listen, can you hear it? As the voice of her Orenda faded, Listening Woman heard the faint murmurs of the breeze, building in pitch, climbing the ridges across the sacred mountain, encircling the Earth Mother. The voices of the ancestors rode the winds of change, whispering to all who could hear, "Now is the time of the return of the white buffalo. It is time to set aside your fears and to join us in the quest for wholeness and unity. Children, call to this grandmother who can teach you the harmony of your heart's inner peace. Listening Woman hears your call and stands ready to show you how to discover the way. Listen for the soft, falling footsteps of your ancestors amid the pounding of white buffalo's hooves, and know that every night we light the homecoming fires across the great expanse of the Sky Nation. In Tiuwe we wait. We send you our ancient whispers to mark the harmony trail back to your heart's home." Listening Woman sat in the stillness and listened. The emerging voices that were calling her name came as no surprise. The time for humans to listen and to reach for spiritual wholeness, discarding separation and limitation, had finally arrived. So, yeah, that's the chapter of Listening Woman. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. As I said before, I'm going to take a few moments here and I'm going to do a drumming. So if you wish to spend some time listening to the drum and journeying in any kind of way, you're welcome to do that. So a few, and also if you have questions, comments, anything at all, please feel free to make them in the comments here. I'll be able to see them, and I'm scrolling through now. Again, for those of you who jumped in the middle or towards the end, I read the chapter, Listening Woman, from the 13 Original Clan Mothers by Jamie Sams. This is an amazing book, and that chapter is my favorite chapter. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that because all of the chapters are my favorite chapter, but right now, that one's my favorite. Okay, so if you would like to do a little meditation, a little dream journey of your own into the inner cave of your heart so that you might journey with Listening Woman, you can just set the intention to do that. If you wish to call in teachings from your ancestors, you can do that. If you're wanting to work with better connecting to the language of nature, so you can just make your request now Just set that intention and then just let it go. The most important thing about any kind, I think, of meditation or dream journey is letting go of any of the doubt and needing to figure it out. So we invite our inner child to join us during these types of meditations and journeys so that we can be fully open from a receptive place in the heart, so that any thought forms, imagery, sensations, frequencies, knowings, memories, and it can be memories from now, it can be past life memories, right? It can be, so you have the opportunity to journey here. And the main thing is trusting what you're experiencing and to give it the space and give it permission. So that's really super important. So anyways, and if you just want to sit and listen to the drum, that's also great. So any combination of that, depending on where you are today. So So if you're just beginning to come out of the meditation, gently begin to breathe into your fingers, breathe into your toes. Offer up gratitude and appreciation for anything that has risen up to the surface, whether it be insights from the teachings, from the chapter in the book, whether it be something that showed up for you in the drumming, whether it's something from earlier today. Just take one more breath here. And then as you're ready, as you feel comfortable, gently opening the eyes, coming back into the room, spreading the fingers, stretching a little bit here. If you ever come out of a meditation or out of a journeying, whether it's with the drum or without it or whatever, if you feel a little floaty, like you're not fully, like you're still kind of out of body kind of thing, stones, not to say that crystals don't, it's my personal preference to use rocks, stones, for grounding. There are certain crystals that are extremely beneficial for it. This is just my personal, what I like to use. So grounding stones can be, and it's really any stone that you feel called to work with or feels called to work with you. I just actually wrote a whole blog post about that. But yeah, it can be very, very beneficial to bringing you back into your connection into the earth. Grounding is extraordinarily important in helping us to maintain our balance as we learn to expand into our potential and connect with our spiritual essence as we take those steps along that path for ourselves. But balance is key for sure. As well as it's very important for integration of the information. So I just want to thank everyone who came and listened tonight. Thank you so much. Is that a shaman stone? It's not a shaman stone, actually. I don't think that I have, my shaman stones are on my altar, or another one of my altars out in the main room. This is, as I've said before, absolutely. I don't know the names of all of the different, although maybe, oh, you're welcome. Maybe it is a shaman stone. Maybe that's why you're asking. All stones are teachers, right? Shamans in their own right. So I don't know. Maybe it's a trick question. But this stone I love. It looks to me like it's like a star. It's like a starburst. So it looks sort of unassuming. I don't know what kind of rock it is actually, but it has a special feeling to me because of that sort of, I feel like it's sort of like holding a star in my hand. It just really like glows and lights up. And so I'm just getting to know this stone. We're new friends. So anyways, thanks for asking about that. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. Please continue to reach out with questions, requests. Those of you who are feeling called to the drum, I'm making lots of custom drums right now for people. I continue to create drums and provide them to people who feel called to it. Thank you. Yeah, isn't it pretty? So if you're feeling called to the drum, please reach out to me. Let me know. I'd love to help connect you with a drum, get a drum in your hands. Yeah, it was life-changing for me. So in any case, I hope you all have an amazing weekend. I'll be back next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Facebook Live at 8:30 each morning, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. If you have any specific requests, yes, a stone shaman, but not a shaman stone. Yes, that's perfect. I like that. So if you have any requests for things that you would like for me to consider writing about in my blog posts, covering in the meditations and teaching sessions, anything at all. So I'm totally open to requests, so feel free to reach out. And I'm continuing to do one-on-one sessions with people via Zoom, as well as Reiki certifications and things like that. And my private sessions are by donation right now. So if you're wanting to go deeper into some things, or you need some additional support, or anything that you're looking to work with in this realm, if I can help, let me know. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I love you. And yeah, any feedback, insights, thoughts, thank you. You too. And yeah, I'll be back. I'll see you guys next week for sure. I might pop on through the weekend. We'll see. Just depends on how I'm feeling. So, all right. I'll talk to you all later. I love you guys. Have a good one.